What's my dick?
Yeah, that is my dick. That's
Well,
what I use my dick for.
But you have two things. You have your dick and your fingers and your toe. That's three things.
Okay, so I have 3 things on my body. I gotcha.
Gotcha. Now, if you hold up 5 fingers, you're holding up 5 fingers. If you put one down, just one,
You
like
die.
one of you have
Then
4 because 5.
I have 3 things on my body.
Well, you always have. Well, if you want to get technical about it, we don't. We don't want to get technical about it.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Should I? I'll use my Blue Yeti. I want
Okay.
to be special. Alright,
Yeah,
have-
get it
Okay,
out.
so
Get it out. It's right here already.
Just pull it out.
I think I got numbers down.
I gotta.
Mhm.
Now we're gonna go back up to quantities.
Okay.
The fuck are those?
1. You know what 1 is?
It's the thing that I put down. We just went into the fucking hyper vortex.
That was the goal.
No. They call it they call it a
You're gonna have
Yeti
to
because it
change
sounds like
some
you're in a
settings,
snowstorm.
I don't know. Yeah, Bird. I was listening to that too, and I don't know why it felt that was appropriate.
See, Blue Yetis sound good whenever you
shit.
make them
Well,
sound good.
No, I didn't. No, it was. That was like feedback.
God damn.
Okay, let's go back to quantities.
Alright,
So I got 1. The thing I put down.
yes. Now, if you put another 1 down, you will have 2 down, because 2 is what happens when you put a 1 and a 1 together.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
but what if they're not side by side? Like the
If
fingers.
then there are still 2 that are down.
Oh, so it's irrespective of space.
Yes, it's
Okay, I got you.
not space, yeah. So, you add 1 plus 1 makes 2. This can be, you can count things like your fingers. You could count cards, like playing cards. Or you can just, I like cards too. Or you can count concepts, not like, you can just count things that aren't physical. You can just imagine
Wait,
2
hold on.
things.
What?
Yes,
All
now
things are physical.
Yes.
Oh, Bird. There is the ethereal plane.
I'm just learning so much today.
That's not where concepts reside.
Now, whenever you do math, you are putting out your brain tendrils into the ethereal plane.
That's
Yeah, I feel
The
that.
ethereal plane is where all numbers and ideas exist. So, I mentioned computers earlier. Computers are basically when you put a bunch of rocks together in a box, and you make it so those rocks are connected to the ethereal plane.
Okay, so it's like brain rocks.
Brain rocks,
I put
exactly.
the brain rocks in a box. The brain rock box.
Now, the ideas and the concepts in the ethereal plane influence the rocks in the box, and they jumble together, creating a sort of loop of feedback.
Uh-huh.
A pile.
A pile of cum, if you will.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, what?
If you will, say a pile of cum out loud.
A pile of cum.
There you go.
Now,
Way too
this
close to me, buddy.
is not really.
You can do ASMR now.
Dave's putting
Hey.
tendrils into my tendrils.
Oh, Bird, I want you to know that the gain is turned all the way down.
That's not good.
Hold up.
Can
Hold
you
up.
put-
We've got.
can you
I
put
have
it
more.
all
I have
the
more
way up,
settings.
Gary? Can you put it all the way up?
Bird,
No.
that results in explosions.
Yeah, don't. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be funny. It's gonna be loud.
Alright, let's go back to the brain rock box. Tendrils
So-
connect in the loop.
Now,
Okay,
nobody on Earth really understands this, but through that connection, they create things you can see and feel and hear. Visual effects, sounds, smells. That's where smell-o-vision comes in.
Oh, that's where video games come from.
Yes.
I know about video games, Minecraft.
So with your mouse,
Mind.
with your mouse and your keyboard, you can manipulate the rocks
With my fingers?
with your fingers. Yes.
Fuck, dude.
And you can make the rocks show you what you want them to show you. Now, with this, people have done things like made the internet. And the internet is when a bunch of boxes of rocks,
There's brain rock boxes.
when the brain rock boxes, when multiple of them connect to each other.
With the tendrils, right? The tendrils. you
Yes,
said
with the
earlier?
tendrils. They don't physically in the real world connect, but through the ethereal plane, their tendrils connect. So you can talk to somebody on the other side of the world through the brain rock box.
Sort of like how smells pass, right?
Exactly.
So they're like farting at each other. Nice.
You're basically
Shitting.
farting through the ethereal plane.
That's rude.
Now, people have made it so that other things can work with the boxes too. For example, microphones. That's how we're talking to each other. We are farting with our mouth.
I thought you were here.
Oh no, but
Oh,
I'm actually far, far away, and I've
I want to say with your
Keep
tendrils.
away.
I've been touching you by farting into this box.
Nice, nice, nice.
So now, what people have done is they've made things called websites, and these are just conglomerations of information that exist in the ethereal plane, and the tendrils will go to those places if you want to access that website.
Yeah.
And what I was just doing is I was on a website called Casting Call,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you upload recordings, which is like you condense the farts from the microphone. You condense your voice farts. And
You put them in a jar.
you can leave them there in the jar. Anyone can listen to them whenever they want.
And they
Yeah.
start pickling.
And well, if you leave them alone for too long, they'll start pickling. But they've got little gremlins that keep the farts in good shape.
Yeah, but if you transfer them from jar a little bit every time,
Yeah,
And-
it's what we call digital loss.
is this loss?
That's where loss comes from. Loss comes from farts degrading.
Okay, but I've heard. Okay, so we've gotten to the end goal.
Yes.
You've explained what you've done.
Mhm.
Where do toes come in all that?
Well.
Jay.
You have toes.